I'm a cam girl. My stalker has a sex doll that looks just like me. I think he's in my house. Mac Moyer, author. Most of my old fans didn't recognize me anymore. My hair was no longer dreadlocks, nor was it colored like a bag of Skittles. My tattoos were hidden under business, casual camouflage, long sleeve button downs, ankle length skirts. My face grew slightly wrinkled in the 10 years since my time in that narrow spotlight. Now and again, someone would recognize me, but they never knew from where. To them, my face was an echo. My sea-wire eyes and a whisper, my smile nothing more than a lyric to a song they'd long forgotten. But then there was a handful who would never let me forget who I used to be. They'd find me on Facebook and Twitter, and even LinkedIn. Perfect internet gumshoes who dig them through Google Images searches endlessly. They put my recent selfies and profile pics up against still frame shots of the old me. Usually after a money shot, DMs were as follows. Found you slut, degenerate whore, or sometimes they said nothing but unsocialized dick pic. They're really something altogether different. Not a DM or a mention, but an email delivered to my work account. My work email wasn't listed anywhere on the company's website or public dictionary. This led to me to suspect that the scumbag worked with me. The first image I received was almost quaint. I thought it might have been an old profile pic at first. It was me in a flannel shirt, tied off Daisy Duke style at the waist. Top buttons undone to show off my tits, rainbow dreadlocks and pouty lips, curled mischievously. They were all very much mine, yes, but it was the flatness in the eyes that made me realize it was a doppelganger. It had a sort of weird look to it, though more real than the most advanced real doll or most convincing deepfake. The clone stood with her hands on her hips in what appeared to be a sparsely decorated sunroom. Windows in the background, black and featureless, gave for the shadowed reflection of the man snapping the picture. "You're a goddess," the captain said. "Please come back." Sufficiently creeped out, I deleted the image without replying to the anonymous sender. Maybe he had left me alone if I'd answered him the first time. Maybe not. The emails kept coming. /hashtag. I've never been ashamed of my old line of work. I wasn't exploited or exposed at all. I wasn't trafficking, and I never tried to traffic either. And no, I wasn't abused as a child. I avoided very shady outfit looking to shortchange performers. I owned my own platform. I worked when and how I wanted, and only with those performers I wanted to work with. Guys, girls, and most beautiful in betweeners. My family disowned me, and my fans from home got weird about it. But I enjoyed my life. I lived the way I wanted to, and more importantly, I was in control. Then came that day I found a stolen image of myself on one of the tube series. And much less the sites. Contributes, they called me. Usually created in the ankles and neck boards, who only stopped spanking it long enough to call the performer a degenerate slut in the comments. One of those paunchy sausage finger losers posting a video where he jacked off onto a framed picture of my face. At the end, when he finished, he zoomed in on his pitiful little load dripping down my photo, like someone had spilled a clob of Elmer's glue. I would have called out the creep. Maybe would have tried to track him down and put him on a blast on Twitter. But I didn't think it was worth the effort. Plus, they were bound to be imitators. Kicking the hornets' nests could only rile up the hornets. So I let it go. But I was done with performing after that. As much as I hated to admit it, the creep ruined it for me. No matter how I tried to look at it, I no longer felt that I was in control. My face, my body, none of it seemed to belong to me anymore. I shared the website and my social media profiles. I copyrighted all my work, so scripting my videos from the Tube's networks was, aside from a few bootlegs, fairly painless. The most painful part came when I went back to work in the real world. After being my own boss for so long, I thought I'd suffocate in that little cubicle. But I could live with it, because at least I was relatively anonymous. Until the email started anyways. /#. The doll had to have been a custom job, because I never licensed my likeness to any of the legit companies. Though I've forgotten everything that happened, and I'd gotten offers aplenty from deviant dark web sites that must have at least to the most extent made a killing, giving it realistic features. The details did even got the tattoos right, and the seamless points of articulation. The doll must have cost 10 grand, if not that, maybe more. The photos got more explicit. Doppelganger on the floor, naked on all fours. Another one, legs stretched, spread eagle. One of her in a wedding dress, hiking up to her hips to show off the items he inserted inside her. Caption, "Come back, so I may worship you again, goddess." Delete, delete, delete. What more could I do? No, by then I was certain he worked in my office. I couldn't tell HR. I never told them about my years as a performer. All the cash I made from my performing days was long gone. I couldn't afford to lose my job. Even so, work was torture. I got paranoid. Snapped on a few male coworkers just for glancing at me. I couldn't shake that feeling that I was being watched, being followed. I even thought about sneaking to the office overnight to check on my coworkers' computers. I would have, but I couldn't gain access to the passwords. Goss, please answer. I love you. This note accompanied the image of my doppelganger, naked on her back, her lifeless sapphire eyes turned toward the camera. with a messy trail of pearls glistening on her belly. I probably could have handled it better. The way I reacted, maybe I could have lured the guy out, confronted him in public, humiliated him. Anyhow, you know what they say about spilled milk? I wrote back exactly what I've been thinking. That he should enjoy the doll because he'd never get me or any other sane woman. Oh, there was one more to my reply, but the short version amounted to "fuck off, weirdo." No word from my anonymous worshiper for almost a day and a half. I actually began to think he got the message that he'd leave me alone. /#. The more his images flooded my inbox, the more I began to identify with my doppelganger. It was me, blindfolded and tied up in the corner of a dark, dingy basement, on my knees, naked and vulnerable and violated. It was no doll, painted up to look like it had been abused. No, it was my face, that bore bruises, the color of ripe plums and Orland pills. That was me. The star cables clamped on my nipples, and nails driven into my hands. That was me with my mouth sewn shut. It wasn't some silicone weird thing bound and gagged, with a dead rat jammed inside the nook between its legs. No, it was me. I ain't doing this. You have to come back. Please come back. The cops were useless. Any hopes I had of them taking the case seriously vanished when I told them about my old profession. The city's meager cyber unit found that my anonymous worshiper had funneled his IP address through a series of dummies. Currently phoning location, some backwater town in Bolivia. He was just an obsessed fan. Some disinterested lieutenant said, nothing much we could do about online harassment. I bought a gun. I started drinking heavily too. I found it easier to sleep with the gun under my pillow and my belly full of Pinot Noir. Even so, the sound of a tree branch cracking in the yard would rip me from my slumber. I suffered panic attacks any time my phone rang. Then came the day when it got home from work. I went to my room and saw it. Tiny lump on my wallpaper. I put the wallpaper back. The lens was small, perhaps half the circumstance of a dime. I wondered how long he had been watching me in my bed, wondering where the cameras he'd hidden in my house. This time, I emailed him a picture, me holding a new revolver, with one simple caption: "Motherfucker, I'm going to kill you." In retrospect, upon realizing that he had been in my house, I probably shouldn't have finished that half-full bottle of wine I started drinking the night before. In my panic, in my rage, I didn't consider it. I was determined to get drunk, and whatever sedative he dropped into the wine didn't leave an aftertaste. More spilled milk, I suppose. / hashtag. I wasn't sure how long I was out. I did realize that last night I never did get drunk. There's far too much Pinot Noir left in the bottle. So there's no doubt he drugged me. Also, I didn't think he touched me physically, though obviously I couldn't be certain. My mess was full of pictures of the previous night. Drugged and sleeping, with a doppelganger, sitting upright with a bag over her head, hands bound behind her back. More pictures, close-ups of me sleeping, him holding a knife, pressing it against my doppelganger's throat, with me in the background. My doppelganger, just around her neck, hanging inside my closet. As far as I could tell, he didn't steal anything. My gun remained safely concealed under my pillow. Thank God. He wanted me on camera again. That much was obvious. But I wouldn't do it. He could taunt me and threaten me all he wanted, but if I ever decided to go back on camera, it would be on my terms, not anyone else's. I knew he was going to come back. This terrified me, but no. I didn't plan on calling the cops again. Instead, I was waiting. I was going to pretend to sleep that night. Put my pretty little head up on the pillow and wait for him. When he came again, he was going to get a big fucking surprise. Because he didn't know about the under my pillow. I guess he didn't install the camera until after I put it there. Go on then, buddy. You guys awaits.